Welcome back, Argent Saganistas, to another episode of Argos Anonymous. My name is Adam, and I'm a little sick today. No, it's not coronavirus. Yes, I already got tested for that. So I'm gonna sound a little funny, and I just want to let you guys know that up front. I'm gonna roll out with this video anyway. I thought, maybe it's time to have a deck profile just to show with events canceled because of COVID. And everything, it's hard to see what kind of decks people are playing. For those of you that are newer to Argent Saga, normally what happens is when you have these events that are being held at not just at LGSs but also at the championships and whatnot, all those deck lists are posted to the internet and posted to the Facebook group. So normally players have access to all the latest deck lists and whatnot. And since we don't have those, thanks to the Rona, maybe we should start doing some deck lists. So I thought I would just dive right into the fires of hell and bring you the latest, greatest, and most hatest deck list. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Hoenna MFN Kyte. Ba-na-na. Hey, so what happened was a long time ago, well, not too long ago, less than a year ago, Hoenna Kyte was played a lot. And you would bounce back this dirty bird called Sylphia and then play it again and again and again and again. And we'll get into that. Anyway, people weren't doing that for a while, but just recently there was a ban restricted update where Sylphia was set free, and so Hoenna Kyte is a thing again. So let's talk about it. I played this at my last LGS, just the locals, I think last week and the week before that, and it did pretty well. That said, if you're playing at my LGS, feel free to not do this because I don't really want to play against it. It's pretty darn good. All right, so starting at the top, Hoenna. So Hoenna's a good champion. Nice visual on that. And then what she does, her ability is this. Every time you destroy a tower or a unit in battle, you place a counter on Hoenna, right? So as you're playing the game, you build up counters. And then at any time, you can remove 3 counters to make a 1500 power golem, right? So basically, as you play, you're putting out additional golem tokens throughout the course of the game. For the most part, there's one other spell or card that interacts with her tokens in a different way, but we'll talk about that when we get to that card. So Hoenna is putting more golems in play. That's basically what Hoenna is doing. Now Kyte is an air spirit with affinity 8, so you can put 8 air spells in your dark deck, right? Your champion lets you have all your dark cards, and your spirit lets you splash in 8 air cards. That's how that works. This is a nice full art Kyte, so it's all shiny and whatnot, number 274 out of 500. So what Kyte lets you do is, once per turn during your turn, you can discard a card from your hand, right? That's the cost. And if you do that, if you discard one, you can return an air unit that you control to its owner's hand. And if you do that, you get to untap or ready one of your exhausted shards. So you discard a card, you bounce an air unit, and you get to ready a shard. Fine. Kyte's Soul Burst is you get to bounce back to someone's hand a unit that costs 3 or less. So that can help you or it can hurt your enemy, however you want to do it. So Hoenna is building up counters and making golems, and Kyte is going to be used to bounce air units back into your hand, which in this deck is just nasty. It's just going to be mean. So let's get into some more of why. Let's show you why that's so evil. So starting off, we'll just start from low to high, and we'll start with the dark package first, okay? So we have 2 Revival of the Suns. This is a rare from Ascension. Revival of the Sun, you basically pay X, and then you get to bring back something from the graveyard. So this is just to bring back something important that you've lost, and it's always nice to have some of those. You do have several cards in here with great arrive abilities. You know, when they arrive, they have some kind of effect. And so being able to bring them back is a powerful thing to do. And we've got 2 of those in this deck. Then you're going to have 3 Delayed Poison. This is the full art version of Delayed Poison from the Conviction expansion set, which is kind of nice. But this is just a common card. You can pick this up for basically nothing. This is an amazing kill spell. It costs 1, and it's not not kill spell, kill augment, which is key, right? This is an augment, not a spell. You equipped it, basically, to a target unit, so it can be your enemy's unit, right? And then at the start of your next turn, it destroys the equipped unit. Now, of note, Delayed Poison activates at the start of its owner's turn. So when you play this card on your opponent's unit, then you do it during your turn. Well, then as soon as they start their turn, this takes effect and their unit dies. So it's an amazing 1-cost thing. Also, there are some spells that are immune to magic. They can't be targeted by spells. This is not a spell. So you can get around that and still kill their card. So delayed poison is a wonderful little thing over there. Next up, we got to have 3 hidden laboratories. 3 hidden labs. This is a common from the Betrayal set. Hidden lab is an augment. So an augment, for those of you who don't know, is one of the three card types outside of champions and towers and whatever. It's the 3 types of cards you play. You've got spells, units, and augments. Augments are like artifacts and magic. You know, a spell, you play it once and it goes away. A unit, you play it once and it can attack and all that kind of stuff. An augment, you play and it stays, and you can usually exhaust it to have some kind of effect, and you can use it again and again and again. So Hidden Lab, when it arrives, you put 3 counters on your Hoenna. So basically for 2, you get a free 1500 power golem out of it, because you can exchange those, those 3 counters for a 1500 power golem. But also at any time you can exhaust or tap your Hidden Lab, and you can sack a golem to draw a card. So this comes in. This is extremely handy because your golems are always going to be dying. You're making golems with Hoenna, and then you're sending those in and they're dying, right? And spells are getting cast and they're dying. And then as they get, say, targeted by a spell, you can then respond by killing it with Hidden Lab. The spell is still wasted, but now you've sacked your golem and you get to draw a card. So this will really keep your hand full and keep the game moving for you, which is in a really nice way. Next up, we've got 3 Dusk Strikes. This is from the intro decks, from the Dark intro deck. And it's an instant speed. That little lightning bolt means it's an instant, meaning you can play it during your opponent's turn. You can respond with it at any time. It's a great little thing. And for 2, you can give a unit negative 2500 this turn. So basically, it's a 2-cost instant kill spell, right? And that's just always nice to have. Next up, we're going to have 3 Omega Magic Yami. This is the full art version from LGS Volume 1. This was a super rare originally in the Betrayal booster set. So Omega Magic Yami is a really great spell. Lightning Bolt means it's instant cast, right? So you can cast it anytime. It's a 2-cost. And what you can do with this is you can bring back something from your graveyard or your discard that costs 3 or less, which as we get into our units, you're going to realize is really powerful. Basically, for 2 cost, you get a 3 unit. So you're already getting like a resource advantage from this. But if it's late in the game, you can do that and you can give a target unit 1,000 or minus 1,000, right? So you might be able to kill or weaken something and bring something back at the same time. It ends up being a very useful ability. I guess if you're desperate, you could just use it to give something minus 1,000, but that just seems like a waste. So 3 of those. Next, the absolute must staple card for any Hoenna deck currently is Hoenna's Wrath. Hoenna's Wrath is a super rare card from the latest set, Booster Set 3 Ascension. This card normally costs 6, but if your champion is Hoenna Immoral Conjurer, it costs 2 less to play. So this only costs 4 to play. This is a board wipe for your opponent, and it gives you 2 big golems. Let me show you. So when you play this card, the first thing that happens is you create 2 golems. You make 2 of these 2,000 power Berserker golems, right? And then everything in play gets minus 1,000 for the number of golems you control. So the minimum this does is it gives everything in play that's a non-golem minus 2,000. So these don't die because they're golems, right? It only affects non-golems. And all of your other golems in play are fine. So this at a minimum is giving everything negative 2,000, which usually wipes the board. Especially at the beginning, like around turn 4. It also gives you 2 beaters that then next turn you start beating with. So Hoenna's Wrath is just a really powerful card. If you're playing Hoenna and you're not playing 3 of these, then you're either much, much smarter than I am, or you have no idea what you're doing. This is a Dalen. Now we're getting into the dark units, okay? So Dalen is legendary, which means you can only have 1 in the deck. It costs 2 to bring out. Here's what it does. The arrivability on Dalen the Raven, Conjurer's Raven. Notice she's got like a little raven over here. The arrive on this is you put 3 counters on Hoenna, or you can get rid of all the counters on Hoenna, and you can search your deck for a non-legendary unit that costs equal to or less to the number of counters that you removed from Hoenna and put it right into play. So if you let's say you have 2 counters on Hoenna already, this hits the field and gives you 3 more. Maybe you played a Hidden Lab and got 3, and then you play a Daily and get 3 more. Now you got 6. Well, now your turn, I don't know, I guess you'd have to bounce it again. Okay, so let's say you play a Hidden Lab and you play a Dalen, you got 6 counters on there, Dalen dies, you Yami it back, and boom, you've got a 6-cost thing that just hits the field. Like, it's nuts. Dalen is a really good card. Early on, you're using it to put counters on your Hoenna, but later you're bringing it back with Omega Magic Yami, and you're bringing it back with Revival of the Sun, and you're playing it to search your deck for something and just farting it into play. And so it becomes a really good card that you'll end up using again and again and again, if the game lasts that long. Next, so Hoenna is not like a super aggro deck, at least this build isn't. So you need to survive to turn 4, right? If you don't make it to turn 4, there's nothing I can do for you. So if you're playing against like a Liam fast aggro, or like a Rain, Blaze Walker, or a Dragonhold Dragons aggro, you're going to want to be able to survive. That's where this comes into play. These Golems of Devourment are from the intro decks and the demo decks, and these are just some full art promo versions. I've got 3 of these in here. How these work is they can't do damage, but they've got Guardian, so they can block. And if he dies, you search your deck for another one and put it into play. So you can literally in one turn, you can be like, block, he's dead, put another one, block, he's dead, put in another one, etc. And these things will really keep you alive. If you manage to draw one early on, your opponent's going to be annoyed. It'll slow them down 1.5 turns, just about. Okay, so moving on, we got some other golems. Also, these golems will not die from Hoenna's Wrath, which is really important. More golems that will not die from Hoenna's Wrath is this Golem of Avarice. So Avarice is a 3-cost 2,000 power, and when it arrives, if you control another golem unit, you get to discard 1 card randomly from your opponent's hand. So I've had luck with this. Sometimes you'll find that, especially with the water tower being so prevalent, that people often have a lot of cards in their hand. So it sounds like discarding 1 random card isn't going to win you the game, and that's usually the case. But sometimes it does, especially if it's an aggro deck and they're throwing everything down really fast, and you wipe them with Hoenna's Wrath and they only have 3 cards left in their hand, and then you start to discard those cards, it can actually make a difference. Also, we have a Rudy in here, which I'll show you, and we'll get to that, but you can double the Arrive effect on this, and it starts to really compound. Next, we've got a Hoenna Horrific Perfection, really nice looking secret rare from the latest set Ascension. You can play this on top of any one of your Golem units, and how this works is once this is in play, it has the offering mechanic. So offering is you get to take 2 cards in your discard, 2 units, and you exile them from your discard, right? There's like just like Magic, there's like a discard pile, excuse me, and an exile pile, right? So offering 2 means you get to exile 2 units from your discard, and then sacrifice 1 of your units. And if you do that, you draw a card, and your opponent sacrifices a card. So it's like a double card advantage. But the one that I usually use, I've never really used that in play, because I use this one. Offering X, destroy target unit with cost X. So the reason this is so powerful is because there are a lot of tokens in this game. Like, look, you yourself are doing it, right? We're going to use Berserker tokens and 1,500 power Golem tokens, and if we hit a light tower, they'll have a 2,000 power Knight token. So you can offer, tokens have a 0 cost. So you can offer 0. And every single turn, like your turn and your opponent's turn, you can kill a token. So if any token comes down, you're just like, and that ends up being a pretty good card. So let's see, getting close to the end of our dark unit package, we're going to have 2 Demon of the Evil Eye. These were promos that were handed out during events. You can get them on TCG Player or the Facebook group for a couple bucks. It's not so bad. 3,000 power 5 cost. But what it does is you declare a card name, and then your opponent reveals their hand and discards all cards with that name. And then you draw a card for each card that they discarded that way. So it sort of combines with Avarice, because you can just start whittling their hand away. But also, you're probably we're going to play with a Darkness Tower. So if they crack that tower, you'll have already seen their hand, because the Darkness Tower lets you look at your opponent's hand. So you should already know some cards in their hand if that tower's been cracked. You can call them out and get some card draw that way. Also, there's a way to double this ability. So when it hits, it'll hit twice. And when it triggers the first time, you get to see cards and call it out. It triggers the second time, and you know what to call out. So last in our dark unit package is the giant Golem of Vengeance. This is a fun thing to search for with your Dalen ability. If you've got 6 counters on Hoenna, Drop this onto the field, your opponent's not going to like you. It's a 4,000 power 6 cost. It's also from the intro deck and from the alpha demo decks. It's got Destroyer, so when you attack, you get to attack 2 towers, so it's a great like finisher. And when it arrives, you get to look at your opponent's hand, and then you get to pick one of their cards, and the opponent discards it. If you control 2 other golems or more, you get to do it twice. So if you've got a couple of golem tokens out, and you bring this into play, you nuke them for 2 cards, and then you're nuking them with Avarice, and you're nuking them with Demon of the Evil Eye, and you're just disrupting their play in a really satisfying way. So moving on from the Dark Package, that's the whole Dark Package. You've got augments and spells up top, and you've got units down here. Now we're going to go to our Argent Package. Argent, of course, means silver, and Argent Saga is sort of like saying Silver Saga. And your artifact, if you play Magic, your artifact cards are your Argent cards. They can fit into any deck. So our Argent Package is 3 Bone Scavenger, because if you're not playing Bone Scavenger, then you're going to lose. Basically, I mean, maybe not, but this is a really good card. It basically eats cards from the graveyard. It'll exile cards, and it gets stronger when it does it. And so it'll disrupt a lot of combos from a lot of different decks. And it only costs 1. It's a great early game card to put out. And if you don't have it, you'll wish you had it pretty quickly. Our other Argent card is Rudy. So Rudy is an Argent rare from the first set Betrayal. He's a great little Argent rare. He only costs 3. And his ability is your Arrive effects trigger twice. So this whole deck is Arrive effects, practically, right? Dalen, if he triggers twice, that's amazing. Even Hidden Laboratory is going to have Arrive effects. If you're doubling these Arrive effects, you're just trashing your opponent's hand. Even doubling Bone Scavenger, you get 2 out. Rudy's great. And you can bring him back with Yami pretty easily, right? Just bring your Rudy back and then play something and do double card advantage. He's great in this deck. I really like him. So now let's talk about the green package, because we got a kite in here, right? So what are we playing green? Well, we're playing 2 Guiding Winds because it only costs 1. It's an instant. And this lets you return target unit that you control back to your hand. And if you do, you draw a card. So basically how you use this is you play a Dalen and you get your 3 counters on Hoenna. And then you Guiding Winds it back to your hand. And you play it again. And then you search your deck for something huge and you ruin your opponent's day. Or you can save the life of one of your critters. If they cast a spell on it to kill it, you can bounce it back to your hand and play it again. But the way I like to use it is to use it on these Arrive effects and just abuse them in that way. You'll also use it with these green unit Arrive effects that we're about to talk about here. The other really important green card you're putting in here is Vabriel's Final Gift. This is your ultimate tutor card. You got 3 of these. Vabriel's Final Gift is a card that lets you search your deck for any card. Period. Right? It's not instant, so you got to do it during your turn. But this is an awesome card. What this does is it means you'll almost never get to turn 4 without having a Wrath, right? Because you got 3 Wrath and 3 of these. So you've always got a Wrath, so you can always wipe the board on turn 4 and start off turn 5 with a bunch of angry golems ready to go. And then, of course, later in the game, if you just need something to win, you're going to gift for that too, and you'll enjoy being able to have that. Then we've got 1 Sylphia, of course, the Dirty Bird that was just released recently. Sylphia is a really powerful 4-cost unit from Betrayal. Her Arrive is you choose an even or an odd cost, and your opponent places all of their units with the chosen cost on the bottom of their deck. So, you choose even, and they take all their even units and put them on the bottom of their deck. And then you bounce it back with Guiding Winds, and then you do it again. Or if you have a Rudy out, you just play it, and you name even, and then you name odd, and you just nuke their board. So you're basically board wiping with Hoenna's Wrath, and then you're board wiping with Sylphia, well, partial board wipes. And then our last green unit is Garga, and we're going to board wipe with that too. Garga, you choose a cost, so it's not quite as good as Sylphia, right? So you'd say like 2. And then you return all units of the chosen cost to their owner's hand. If 2 or more units are returned this way, it gains quickness. So when you look at this, of course, you've got all of your own Arrive abilities. So it's really fun to name 2, nuke your opponent's hand, but then return Dalen to your hand, play Dalen again, search your deck for something else and put that into play. There's just a ton of synergy with these cards and the way they all come down. And that's it, boys. That's Hoenna Kyte. So feel free to ask any questions you have in the comments, or if you have an upgrade. I'm not the ultimate Argent Saga Knight. Other people are smarter than me and have more experience, and I acknowledge that, and that's okay. So if you've got a better way to do it, let's talk about it. Give us your secrets, or don't, because you want to destroy us if the COVID ever lets us do big tournaments again. Enjoy this, and look forward to more deck profiles. We're going to start doing them here because people are asking for them, and we've got them. They're sometimes hard to find on the internet, so let's start putting them in here. You'll notice on my channel that this is a new YouTube channel, so it's still developing, but I'm making playlists. So deck profiles will be their own playlist, and once we have more of them, you'll just be able to select the playlist and find them all very easily that way. Same with product reviews and criticisms and fluffy congratulations and spoilers and anything else we do. They've all got their own playlist. Anyway, there you go. Have a good weekend, dudes. Zargos out.